see the ground, yeah. Going way, way, way up. We ain't never coming down, yeah. Look around, yeah. I can't even see the ground, yeah. Going way, way, way up. Can we go even higher? We gon' take it even higher.
Hello, UW alumni and friends. Welcome to the Cowboys Alumni Pregame Pep Talk, brought to you by Black Hills Energy, UWAA Federal Credit Union, Laramie GM Auto Center, and Premier Bone and Joint Centers, featuring former Cowboys Reggie Slater and Justin French. This week, the Cowboys battle Mountain West rival, the Colorado State Rams, in the AA with a two-game series on February 4th and February 6th. The Rams and the Cowboys have played 234 times since 1911, and the Cowboys lead the series 136-98. The Cowboys' record stands at 10-7, and CSU enters the game with a record of 12-4. I'm excited to be with former Cowboy basketball players Reggie Slater and Justin French to share their UW experience. Reggie and Justin made their impact for the Cowboys on the court and also were and continue to be fan favorites and have stayed connected to the Cowboys basketball program and UW since leaving UW. Welcome, Reggie.
Hey, Keenan, thank you for having me on today. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. And then welcome, Justin.
Thanks, Keenan. Appreciate it. Excited to be on.
Hey, Reggie, let's get it kicked off. So what years did you play for the Cowboys? Who was your coach? And what degree did you earn? And when did you graduate from UW?
Well, I was recruited by Benny Dees, was there from 88 to 92. I got a degree from the College of Arts and Sciences, bachelor's degree in science. Played professionally for about 10 years after I finished playing. Then after that, I kind of went into the entrepreneurial route. Own, at this point, 8 automotive facilities. I have my businesses and watching UW basketball and, just reminiscing with you about when we used to play our little brother, kicking their butts up and down 287 and, carrying on conversations like that.
What pro teams did you play for?
I played for Denver, Minnesota, and Toronto.
And Justin, man, tell us a little bit about your UW experience and what years you were here and your coaches and what year.
I had 3 coaches in my 5 years in Laramie from 95 to 2000. Started out with Joby Wright and then Larry Chiat, and then my last 2 seasons with Steve McLean. Graduated in 2000 with an education degree. Yeah, grew up just down at 287 in Ram territory, and I luckily made the right decision to head north and go to Laramie. So pretty proud of that. Still love supporting the Pokes, even though I do live in Colorado now.
Justin, what did you get into professionally and the like?
I went into business and then found a good fit in financial services. And so I've been in financial services now for about going on 13 years in financial services.
Well, that's great. So CSU, Reggie, what comes to mind when you think about those battles? You played them 8 times in the regular seasons during your career. So share a little bit about that experience.
Well, it was always special to play CSU because they are so close in proximity. So you have that. Also, during the off season, you run into these guys. So you interact with them. So it's good to be able to walk up to some of these guys and talk trash, at a certain level and have bragging rights about who beat who and who did what to who. So, that's a game that I was especially, I had my horns sharpened and ready to play. I think Benny Dees had a great quote about playing in Moby. I always loved playing in front of UW at the AA in front of the fans. But, playing at Moby was like going to the dentist. It wasn't that great. I didn't like it so much. So I tried to, put my frustration out there on the court and let these guys feel my pain, if you know what I mean.
Well, Justin, I know that had to be special every time, but it still had to be a little extra special playing in Fort Collins in front of so many of your friends and family and the like as well.
Yeah, it definitely was. I mean, for me, I had some added motivation. Growing up here, the Border War games were usually always Saturdays, and Wyoming fans travel. And so we would fill half of Moby Arena with Wyoming fans. And so it was always packed. A lot of my friends went to CSU and they're talking trash to me, but they're friends. And then, I had a lot of extra motivation to get after CSU. And then same thing like Reggie was saying, you run into these guys, you played against them in high school. Some of them, I remember Matt Barnett was a guy that we battled, and he and I were in the same AAU club program. I worked kids basketball camps with his dad and him and stayed at his house. And And so you get on the court and you just put all that aside. It doesn't matter anymore if you're friends or if you were teammates at one point in time. I mean, it's on. So, I definitely had a lot of added motivation to beat the Rams each year.
Well, Justin, talk a little bit about that 98 game. A couple of your teammates went on a tear to come from behind, go into overtime, and ultimately win. And I know you played a big part in that. Share a little bit about that experience.
That was a really memorable game for me. That was Larry Shiat's first season in Laramie, and we had a great season and had upset Utah. They were in the top 5. We had upset New Mexico. They were ranked in the top 20. So we were really battling. We wanted to get that 3rd seed, which we ended up getting, but we had to win that game against CSU. Before the game, we were a very defensive-minded team that year, and Coach Shiat put on the board in the locker room 55. We've got to hold them to 55 points to win the game. And so ironically, the game was tied 55-55 going into overtime. Greg Sawyer, which growing up in the Cheyenne area, he had a lot of motivation to get after CSU. I did as well. So we finished the game out pretty well, the two of us, and ended up winning that game in overtime. And then, we ended up getting that 3rd seed going into the tournament.
Well, guys, as we get ready to play CSU, Reggie, what would you tell our Cowboys about getting ready for CSU?
I would say, prepare for a competitive game, buckle up, and bring your hard hats, because guys like me that are, several years removed from college, obviously, we love watching these games and talking about some of these players, some of which, fortunately, I know and I've interacted with. And, I like calling some of the guys and, hey, man, did you see number 1 or did you see number 32 or 34? See what these guys did out there on the court. They're doing it. So there's a lot of pride in the game, not with you playing, but for years and generations on end. Man, go out there, have some fun, be competitive, just keep whooping, play hard, and keep whooping on those guys.
And you, Justin, for the Cowboys?
I think the one thing, there are a lot of Polk fans in Colorado. There's a lot of Wyoming fans and a lot of Wyoming pride in Colorado. And so every time, you guys beat the Rams, brings a lot of joy and a lot of happiness to a lot of Wyoming fans that are down in Colorado. And like Reggie said earlier, these guys are close in proximity. You run into them in the summers. You run into them in different places. You run into them at the airport, sometimes when you're traveling as a team. You run into them next time, you don't want them talking trash about how they beat you by 20. I mean, you want to be able to stand up and be proud of what you've done. And remember, every year, it's a big battle, and it means a lot to the fans and continues to be one of my favorite games and rivalries.
Guys, thank you. Our fans will really enjoy hearing from you guys. Go Cowboys, and we'll see you again soon. The first game will be played on Thursday, February 4th at 7 p.m. and will be streamed on the Mountain West Network. And the second game will be played on Saturday, February 6th at 4 p.m. on CBS Sports Network. You may also listen to both games on your favorite Wyoming radio station on the Cowboy Sports Network. And if you plan to celebrate, take a photo or video of your Cowboys celebration using the hashtag #PokesAtHome and tag the UW Alumni Association for a chance to win a piece of UWAA clothing. We will choose the most spirited submission and will contact the winner. Thank you again to Black Hills Energy, UWAA Federal Credit Union, Laramie GM Auto Center, and Premier Bone and Joint Centers. Membership dues directly support this programming. If you are a current UWAA member, we thank you. If not, and you want to extend your UW pride by becoming a member today, you can visit our website at uwio.edu/alumni. Now let's get that Cowboy spirit going by singing along with us to Ragtime Cowboy Joe.
He always sings rag music to the Cadillac swing. Back and forward in the saddle on a horse, pretty horse. Got a syncopated and you ought to hear the beat. Just the roar of this repeated how it runs. Yes, right. When the hear Easter coming, cause the Western folks all know. He's a high with the root, just a